Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I have exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on. And that is what you should do. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
Such a growth, man. Jordan Peterson have done this. I think this is probably the second major time I remember him using this lady's own words and action against her.
Let me put something else to you from the book. You say the introduction of the equal pay for equal work argument immediately complicates even salary comparison beyond practicality for one simple reason. Who decides what work is equal? It's not possible. So the simple question is, do you believe in equal pay?
Well, I made the argument there. It's like it depends on who defines it.
So you don't believe in equal pay?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Minute of conversation. She can literally make you want to punch her 20 times. I remember listening to a Bill Barr joke. And people were saying there's no reason to hit a woman. She's a typical example why there's 1,000 reasons to hit a woman. You just don't do it. Do not punch her, right? Do not punch her. Looking at yourself from the third person, the rational you, channel the internal Athena. Deep breath. Observe your emotions. Why you're feeling angry. Why you want to punch this lady. She's a nice lady. She's just doing her job. Where's my punch? You just want to throw stuff at her. You just really want to throw stuff at her, bro. Like literally, this man has literally uplifted my confidence, helped me understand, find clarity in this disturbingly difficult and challenging life. I gotta say, I've learned so much from him, and it helped me understand so much more about my life, about my journey. And I think this interview will give you a glimpse why you must read his book, 12 Rules for Life, and it will help you tremendously, help you gain a lot of value. Whether you're a man or a woman, just a person who's looking for clarity in this life. Why is everything so unfair? Like, what is going on in this life? Well, you gotta listen to the brightest mind of our era, of our century, Jordan Peterson. It's such an inspiring figure. So I find the most viral interview of Jordan B. Peterson, every single interview, every single lecture of him is great. And we're just gonna watch this interview together and then to give you some hope, right? To give you some answers why you must read this book. Let's get started.
Find the sort of meaning in their life that sustains them through difficult times, and they're certain to encounter difficult times. And they're left bitter and resentful and without purpose and adrift and hostile and resentful and vengeful and arrogant and deceitful and of no use to themselves and of no use to anyone else and no partner for a woman, and there's nothing in it that's good.
So you say, I mean, that sounds pretty bad. You're saying there's a crisis of masculinity? I mean, what do you do about it?
You help people understand why it's necessary and important for them to grow up and adopt responsibility, why that isn't a shake your finger and get your act together sort of thing, why it's more like a delineation of the kind of destiny that makes life worth living. I've been telling young men, but it's not, I wasn't specifically aiming this message at young men to begin with. It just kind of turned out that way.
And it's mostly, you admit, it's mostly men.
Before I continue, I want to say that, Jordan Peterson is a psychological scientist. I don't know the exact title. This guy is just so brilliant. He has so many different titles. In this book, it's science-based. There's so much scientific literature that he and his colleagues study, and it's all based off reality, observations, and analysis. It's very different from a lot of other things I've seen from people talk online, just from random guessing and, gut feelings or whatnot. Everything in this book is based on years upon years of scientific literature, scientific papers, few things and then summarized in easy to digest format. Like one of the things that I learned, for example, number one, stand up straight with your shoulders back. This probably just this one little gesture alone has helped me so much, just day by day, going through days, like sometimes when I'm feeling extremely down, just by standing up straight with the shoulders back, make you feel so much better, make it easier to hit that very difficult goal. Self-accountability is very important. Another thing is, do not let your children do anything that make you dislike them. I don't have children yet, but this also just works on yourself as well. Like when I read this chapter, it's like, don't try to not in a sense abuse, but don't try to like empower people to do things that make you dislike them in the future. And we live in such an abusive society. We frequently allow our friends, our loved ones, to do things that make you dislike them. Just because our kid, for example, your friends are addicted to drugs, just because they have their free will, you say something, but if they don't change, you do nothing about it, right? And you're gonna dislike them, you're gonna distant from them. So this book talks all about it, and also how to set your own world straight before you criticize the bigger world. There's so much stuff to learn from this book, but let's continue the interview. I just wanna say that there's stuff that I learned you can implement immediately from his interviews and from his books.
Listening, I mean,
It
90% of your audience is a male,
Well, it's
right?
about 80% on YouTube, which is YouTube is a male domain primarily. So it's hard to tell how much of it is because YouTube is male and how much of it is because of what I'm saying. But what I've been telling young men is that there's an actual reason why they need to grow up, which is that they have something to offer, that people have within them this capacity to set the world straight, and that's necessary to manifest in the world. And that also doing so is where you find the meaning that sustains you in life.
So what's gone wrong then?
Oh, God, all sorts of things have gone wrong. I don't think that young men hear words of encouragement. Some of them never in their entire lives, as far as I can tell. That's what they tell me. And the fact that the words that I've been speaking, the YouTube lectures that I've done and put online, for example, have had such a dramatic impact is an indication that young men are starving for this sort of message, because why in the world would they have to derive it from a lecture on YouTube?
It's true. I'm lucky. I was born in with a loving father and a loving mother. My dad frequently is more of the stricter one, constantly bashed me. Oh, you got 99 out of 100? Why don't you get 100? Well, it's not that extreme, but it's usually pretty strict. And my mom, on the other hand, have given me a lot of encouragement over the past few decades, right? So I think it's always a mother figure that gives encouragement. But in America, is where we live, you frequently see dysfunctional families. We see people, moms will literally sell their kids for drugs. It breaks your heart. How is this allowed? How is the abusive government allowing this to happen under the name of democracy, under the name of personal freedom, liberty? Those people should be in jail, the kids that grew up, for example, in a foster home, and the foster home is not teaching their kids any responsibilities or finding a job in the society. The foster home should be everybody should be fired and hire someone who actually cares, right? It's literally anything you have government do, it just all goes to shit every single time. You look at it, it's just so sad. America, there's so many dysfunctional family. I think we need to bring the value back to every young person that we, as men, need to take the responsibility, our responsibility in society, take care of families, provide, and work really hard. Be willing to suffer, because our life is going to be packed with suffering. And I think right now the side is sheltering all the younger folks from the suffering. The world's supposed to be soft. No, it's not. It's just a bunch of suffering. So we need to suffer through it. And that's how you grow stronger. And I've experienced it firsthand. So thanks to Jordan Peterson. It just gave me clarity. That's actually what's supposed to happen. It's normal. It's not just your life or my life that is hard. If you're going through it right now, it's supposed to happen.
No, they're not being taught that it's important to develop yourself.
But does it bother you that your audience is predominantly male? Isn't that a bit divisive?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's no more divisive than the fact that YouTube is primarily male and Tumblr is primarily
that's pretty divisive,
female.
isn't it?
Tumblr is primarily female.
Right, you're just saying that's the way it is.
Well, I'm not saying anything. It's just an observation that that's the way it is. There's plenty of women that are watching my lectures and coming to my talks and buying my books. It's just that the majority of them happen to be men.
What's in it for the women, though?
Well, what sort of partner do you want? Do you want an overgrown child? Or do you want someone to contend with that's going to help you and that you can rely on?
Women have some sort of duty to sort of help fix the crisis of masculinity.
It depends on what they want.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, it's exactly how I laid it out. Women deeply want men who are competent and powerful. And I don't mean power in that they can exert tyrannical control over others. That's not power. That's just corruption. Power is competence. And why in the world would you not want a competent partner? Well, I know why, actually. You can't dominate a competent partner. So
you're
if you
saying
want
women
domination,
want to dominate. Is that what you're saying?
no, I'd say women who have had their relationships impaired, their relationships with men impaired, and who are afraid of such relationships will settle for a weak partner because they can dominate them. But it's a suboptimal solution.
Do you
It
think
does
that's
no
what a
one
lot of
any
women are
good.
doing?
I think absolutely. I think the modern society where the direction they're going, it's opposite of patriarchy, right? Like I think the pendulum have swung to the complete opposite direction. It's supposed to be meet in the middle to empower females to have their freedom, to have a job for their own career, but now have gone way too far to the other side, where it's not really just female empowerment, it's literally male suppression. Like we gotten to a point where you go anywhere online, you watch Asmongold, you watch all this YouTuber, they're just, I'm not saying they're spilling hate, but in a way they are, right? Like if you watch Asmongold, you can feel in the chat, there's such a divide of men and female, like male and female. The guys in the chat hate girls. And they're, Asmongold also constantly watch cringe girls. Sadly, there are a lot of cringe girls. So it just created more division. But it is what it is. It's exactly, it just feels like that's where the world is going. The girls right now in the society, a lot of girls, right? They want their own career. They want to have a career over a relationship when they're younger, which is totally understandable. Guy can do it, why can't I, right? Because there are not enough fathers, or the society is not telling men and women their supposed responsibilities in the society. And that's not the case anymore. I wouldn't say supposed responsibility. At least it has changed from what it was like 20 years ago. So now modern feminism have now moved to the extreme, to the very, very extreme. Like guys, it feels like girls just want softer guys, even though they date the bad boys, but don't marry them. Because I have a lot of friends like this in real life, girls who date bad boys, but eventually they will break up after a month, 2 months, 3 months, because they can't marry them. They understand they're horrible people, they're bad boys, so just dating them for fun, for sex, right? But, and the bad boys happen to be good looking, usually, because they would take care of themselves. They're confident. One of the common trait about bad boys is usually they're confident. And the good boys, they hate females for that, but they also don't improve themselves. They don't understand it's our responsibility to always improve, right? They just hate the females. And it's such a sad thing to see, but that's why Jordan Peterson is so important, because he constantly preach about self-accountability. As a man, we have to take on a mantle. The society is going to be brutal. It's going to be unfair towards you and I. So we just have to work hard. Like being an Asian man in America, we're probably one of the most disadvantaged group, right? Like there's so much stuff for Black community, for Latino community, but almost nothing for a Chinese man. In here, you're trying to find a job. Like the quote unquote white privilege, people say are not real, but in esports, in the gaming industry where we work in, it's absolutely real. If you're trying to find a job, I can tell you, I can point out to many different gaming casting industries and whatnot. It's mostly dominated by Caucasian men. And if you're a Caucasian man, it's gonna be much easier for you to find opportunities. It's just because there are many of Caucasian men in this industry. So it is what it is. But after talking to, I wouldn't say talking, but listening to Jordan Peterson, reading his book, you get so much clarity. It is what it is. You suffer through it. It's everybody have their own journey. Despite all the challenges, we just have to do our best and look for the brighter future. So
I think there's a substantial minority of women who do that. And I think it's very bad for them. They're very unhappy. It's very bad for their partners, although the partners get the advantage of not having to take any responsibility.
But what gives you the right to say that? I mean, maybe that's how women want their relationships, those women. I mean, you're making these vast generalizations.
I'm a clinical psychologist.
Right, so
clinical
you're saying you've
psychologist.
done your research and women are unhappy dominating men.
I didn't say they were unhappy dominating men. I said it was a bad long-term solution.
Okay, you said it was
It's not
making
the
them
same
miserable.
thing. Yes, it is. And it depends on the time frame. I mean, there's intense pleasure in momentary domination. That's why people do it all the time. But it's no formula for a successful long-term relationship. That's reciprocal, right? Any long-term relationship is reciprocal, virtually by definition. So
Let me put a quote to you from the book, where you say there are whole disciplines in universities forthrightly hostile towards men. These are the areas of study dominated by the postmodern neo-Marxist claim that Western culture in particular is an oppressive structure created by white men to dominate and exclude women. But then I want to put
minorities too dominate and exclude minorities and women.
But I want to put to you that here in the UK, for example, let's take that as an example, the gender pay gap stands at just over 9%. You've got women at the BBC recently saying that the broadcaster is illegally paying them less than men to do the same job. You've got only 7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies.
Yeah.
So it seems to a lot of women that they're still being dominated and excluded, to quote your words back to you.
It does seem that way, but multivariate analysis of the pay gap indicate that it doesn't exist.
But that's just not true, is it?
That's
I mean, that
absolutely
9% pay gap, that's a gap between median hourly earnings between men and women.
But there's
that exists.
Yeah, but there's multiple reasons for that. One of them is gender, but it's not the only reason. Like if you're a social scientist worth your salt, you never do a univariate analysis. Like you say, well, women in aggregate are paid less than men. Okay, well, then we break it down by age, we break it down by occupation, we break it down by interest, we break it down by personality.
But you're saying basically it doesn't matter if women aren't getting to the top, because that's what's skewing that gender pay gap, isn't it? You're saying, well, that's just a fact of
No,
life.
it's saying
Women
it
aren't
doesn't
necessarily
matter.
going to get to the top.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter either.
Dude, the pay gap thing is such old time news. Like people shouldn't even be talking about it anymore. Just look at OnlyFans. How many guys over there are making over 100K a year? How many girls over there are making $10 million a year, right? Just look at OnlyFans. So look at like just overall in any jobs, modern jobs. It seems like especially management jobs are overwhelmingly dominated by females, especially in gaming. The middle management are overwhelmingly dominated by females. Not saying that's a good or a bad thing. It's just an observation. A lot of the clients I work with, look at the middle management, overwhelmingly dominated by females. There's still male at the top and there's still female at the top, right? But the top managers, also like just in influencer space, right? If you go online, you will have like, I know a lot of girls. You will have, I'll give you a statistic, right? The girls who have about 50 something viewers on Twitch, they can make a few $1,000s a month. Normally 50 viewers on Twitch, if you make a few $100s a month, you already really go to streamer. But why are a lot of girls, especially pretty ones, make a few $1,000s? The answer is obvious. The advantage is just simply not given to men. You got to be an extremely good-looking man, and that's really rare, right? Like, not everybody's Vascular, that guy, right? Cavacular, the streamer that is in Paris is dating all those girls right now. The looks maxing guy, right? Not everybody's like him. Most guys are just like me, just regular looking dude. Actually, much better looking because I'm an Asian dude. But if you're not Asian, you're probably better looking. I'm just kidding. But the point is, like girls in our industry, social media space, is much easier, especially when they're decently looking. You don't even have to be super hot looking. You just have to be decent looking, outgoing, know your jokes. You don't even have to if you're super pretty. You're gonna make a lot of money. So where is the discussion about gender pay gap in our industry? It simply doesn't exist. The point of the matter is, it's about interest and competence. It has always been like that. Because if I run a business and I can pay a girl who's really competent, frequently the middle management, a lot of girls mature much faster than boys. If I can pay a competent girl less salary to do the same amount of work and better than boys, why wouldn't I hire just girls? And I frequently hire like females because they are actually much more mature at our age with a different kind of jobs, more likely than boys. So there's this thing about like people hire boys, and pay guys more than girls in our age is such a moot point. It's so old school,
You're saying it's a fact
there are
of
multiple
life.
reasons for it.
Yeah, but
and that
those
aren't being
reasons,
taken into
why
account.
should women put up with those reasons? Why should women be
put up with it?
content
I'm not
not
saying
to
that
get
they
to
should
the top?
put up with it. I'm saying that the claim that the wage gap between men and women is only due to sex is wrong. And it is wrong. There's no doubt about that. The multivariate analysis have been done. So I can give you an example.
You keep on talking about multivariate analysis.
Let me give you an
but
example.
I'm saying that 9% pay gap exists.
Yeah.
That's a gap between men and women. I'm not saying why it exists, but it exists. Now,
Yeah, but
if
you
you're
have
a
to say
woman,
why it
that's...
She's such a bad interviewer. I don't know. She's such a bad interviewer. I don't know why you don't let people talk. It's kind of interesting. You have someone on for the interview. You ask the question. The guy's like, let me give you an example to explain my point. Like, no. Okay, if you're trying to prove that you're smarter. See, that's the thing, right? She's very competent at her job. And women frequently are extremely disagreeable. I don't know why that's the case. The modern, competent females that we've seen in corporate. And she's one of them. She's very, very competent, you can tell. But she just won't let people talk. She's a very, very bad interviewer.
Seems pretty unfair.
You have to say why it exists.
But do you agree that it's unfair? If you're a woman...
Not necessarily.
And on average, you're getting paid 9% less than a man. That's not fair, is it?
It depends on why it's happening. I can give you an example. Okay, there's a personality trait known as agreeableness. Agreeable people are compassionate and polite. And agreeable people get paid less than less agreeable people for the same job. Women are more agreeable than men.
Again, a vast generalization. Some
It's
women
not
are
a
not more
generalization.
agreeable than
Yes,
men.
that's true, but that's right. And some women get paid more than men.
So you were saying that by and large, women are too agreeable to get the pay rises they deserve.
No, I'm saying that that's one component of a multivariate equation that predicts salary. It accounts for maybe 5% of the variance.
Jordan Peterson made this point very clear. There are many different reasons. He's giving one example. And if anyone's doing generalization, it's this girl. Like, he has made himself very clear. He's a clinical psychologist. He looked at data. He analyzed different reasons something might be happening. And he's saying that gender pay gap is not true because there are multivariate tests they have already done. And this is all the results that come out of it. And then he's about to say his point. The girl, every time Jordan Peterson says something, she generalizes it. Oh, so you're saying this is the reason why? No. I'm saying this is one of the reasons. No, you're saying this is the reason why. And you just listen to it like, what's wrong with you, bro? It's either she's insincere or just stupid, but she looks very confident. So I think she's just insincere. Or maybe this is the way you talk. I don't understand. This is not how normal people, and anyone listening to this understand what Jordan Peterson is coming from. Why is she doing this? She's like acting in with malice, like just bad intent, feels like.
Something like that.
So surely the
you need about
answer-
another 20, you need about another 18 factors, one of which is gender. And there is prejudice, there's no doubt about that, but it accounts for a much smaller proportion of the variance in the pay gap than the radical feminists claim.
Okay, so rather than denying the pay gap exists, which is what you did at the beginning of this conversation, shouldn't you say to women, rather than being agreeable and not asking for a pay rise, go and ask for a pay rise. Make yourself disagreeable with your boss.
Oh, definitely, there's that. But I also didn't deny it existed. I denied it existed because of gender.
Okay.
See, because I'm very, very, very careful with my words.
So the pay gap exists, you accept that, but you're saying, I mean, the pay gap between men and women exists, but you're saying it's not because of gender, it's because women are too agreeable to ask for pay rises. So
It's
make
one
them-
of the reasons.
Okay, one of the reasons. So why not get them to ask for a pay rise?
I've
Wouldn't
done
that
that.
be a fairer
I've done
way of
that
proceeding?
many, many times in my career.
And they
I've
just don't?
counseled. Oh, they do it all the time. You can. It's so. One of the things that you do as a clinical psychologist is assertiveness training. So you might say, often you treat people for anxiety, you treat them for depression, and maybe the next most common category after that would be assertiveness training. And so I've had many, many women, extraordinarily competent women, in my clinical and consulting practice, and we put together strategies for their career development that involve continual pushing, competing for higher wages, and often tripled their wages within a 5-year period, teaching
you
them how to
celebrate that?
negotiate. Of course.
So
Of
do
course.
you agree that you would be happy if that pay gap was eliminated completely?
It
Because
would
that's all
depend.
the radical feminists are saying.
It would depend on how it was eradicated and how the disappearance of it was measured.
And you're
These
saying
things
if
you
it's at
can't-
the
you
cost
can't-
of men, that's a problem.
Oh, there's all sorts of things that it could be at the cost of. It could even be at the cost of women's own interests. So,
Because they might not be happy if they get equal pay.
no, because it might interfere with other things that are causing the pay gap that women are choosing to do.
Like having children.
Well, or choosing careers that actually happen to be paid less, which
She's such a horrible interviewer, man. This is a fun interview to listen to. Jordan Peterson is so calm. And I don't know how, like, this is why you listen to him, right? Because he teach you by his own action. Like, how he's able to stay calm. Like, at this point, it's really, you have to channel internal Athena. You really have to use the trick I shared with you. Like, to manifest the rational you to stand out of you, to observe. Be like, okay, stop, don't punch the lady. Just don't punch her, all right? Whatever you do, just do not punch her. That's literally what you have to do. And I don't know whether Jordan Peterson is doing that in this interview, but she's insufferable. I'm like, this is actually crazy. She's taking stuff out of context in front of your face. I get it. This might be her job, just to lie, like in front of you. Like, imagine if she's lying in front of you, what she's gonna say uninterrupted on her own monologue. Like in her own, she's probably like a quote unquote, broadcaster in a famous channel in Britain. Then, like, imagine what's the stuff she can say when Jordan Peterson is not there, when he cannot defend himself, when he cannot say, yo, stop, hold, right? So like, this is crazy. Listen to her.
Women do a lot of.
But why shouldn't women have the right to choose not to have children or the right to choose those demanding careers?
They do. They can. Yeah, that's fine.
But you're saying that makes them unhappy, by and large.
I'm saying that no, I'm not saying that. I actually haven't said that so far.
You're
in the
saying
program.
it makes them miserable.
No, I
at the
said that
beginning.
what was making them miserable was having weak partners. That makes them miserable.
Right.
I would say that many women around the age of, I would say between 28 and 32, have a career family crisis that they have to deal with. And I think that's partly because of the foreshortened time frame that women have to contend with. Like, women have to get the major pieces of their life put together faster than men, which is also partly why men aren't under so much pressure to grow up. So because for the typical woman, she has to have her career and family in order pretty much by the time she's 35, because otherwise the options start to run out. And so that puts a tremendous amount of stress on women, especially at the end of their 20s.
I think I take issue with the idea of the typical woman because, all women.
I think like it is so true. There are a lot of societal stress for women. I think our society is moving towards. That's why I made a bold prediction that there's going to be like harem, like basically instead of monogamy, it's going to be polygamy coming back again. Where people like Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, all those. Andrew Tate already have like 12 different children at 13 or something like that with multiple different women. And then he said all his friends at his like earning level all have multiple different partners. And it seems true. Like when you look at different rich people, they all have different partners in a rich category, right? Ultra rich category. I guess that's end of the day, women lean towards competence. And competence, the best way of expressing or demonstrating the competence of a man is their social status, right? Like because you have earned it in the society. So for girls who graduate from college, if they want to get a good life moving forward, I think eventually you move towards polygamy. That's number one. Number two, it's just that they probably marry men who is 20 years older than them. So 20-year-old women can marry 40-year-old men, and 20-year-old men just don't marry. You just play around, have fun, one-night stands, and focus on your career. Maybe that's the path forward. I'm not sure. And are
different. And that's what I want to just put another quote to you from the book.
Well, they're different in some ways and the same in others.
Okay, you say women become more vulnerable when they have children.
Oh, yes.
And you talked in one of your YouTube interviews about crazy harpy sisters. So, simple question. Is gender equality a myth in your view? Is that something that's just never going to happen?
It depends on what you mean by equality. No,
Being
if you
treated
mean
fairly,
men and women,
getting the same opportunities?
fairly, we could get to a point where people were treated fairly or more fairly. I mean, people are treated pretty fairly in Western culture already, but we can
But they're
improve
really
that.
not, though, are they? I mean, otherwise,
Well, it
why
depends.
would there only be 7 women running FTSE 100 companies in the UK? Why would there still be a pay gap, which we've
well,
discussed?
Have you ever thought about just competence and number one, number two, like interest? Because like there are a lot of girls that we know or a lot of guys in general, more girls though. I know in real life, they're happy where they are in their life, position-wise. They don't want to climb any higher. And that's very different from very ambitious men. This is also why there's so much like conflicts and wars going on between men, because they fight for the same position. They always want to climb. Men, it's very easy for ambitious men to never be satisfied with what they have. They always want to climb. They always want to grind and get better. It happens more frequently within men. Not saying there isn't women who want to grind, but you look around the society. Where is the lack of equal opportunities? In fact, I know a lot of tech jobs, like in different tech companies, they have quotas specifically targeting how many females they have to keep in the company, how many girls they have to keep in the company. I mean, that's not really, I would say it's meritocracy, but at the same time, there is a quota specifically there, right? To protect how many females they're hiring. When they lay off, it's frequently the men who are laid off first, because there were usually more men before who were interested in engineering jobs. But now, like, look at AI that's replacing the workforce. A lot of it is replacing the middle management female works, because they find out a lot of the work can be replaced by AI, which is, I don't know how this is going to shape the society a few years down the road, because nobody knows what's on the other side of the hill, right? With AI, nobody knows at this point. But like, I don't really see it. Like, people talk about it all the time, and we hear it. Let me know in the comment section if you actually see in real life example of this, this huge gender pay gap that they were talking about. Because I don't see it ever. My 20 years in America, never seen it. And back in China where I grew up, my mom worked really hard and she became really rich when I was in high school. And eventually her business started, quieting down. But she made quite a bit of money when I was in high school. And then she made a lot of money by herself. I don't see any pay gap. People like confidence. And she was just working really hard, making a lot of money. So I never saw it in real life. I just see people working hard. I see real life example of my mom, my sister who worked really hard and made a lot of money because society rewarded them for it. So I don't know what she's talking about. I've never seen this in real life. I never experienced it myself. But maybe you guys know. Maybe you have real anecdotal experience. Let me know in the comment sections.
Why are women at the BBC saying that they're getting paid illegally less than men to do the same job? Well, that's not fair, is it?
Let's go to the first question. Those are complicated questions. Seven women, repeat that one. There's
7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies in the UK.
Okay. Well, the first question might be, why would you want to do that?
Why would a man want to do it? I mean, there's a lot of money, it's an interesting job.
There's a certain number of men, although not that many, who are perfectly willing to sacrifice virtually all of their life to the pursuit of a high-end career. So they'll work. These are men that are very intelligent. They're usually very, very conscientious. They're very driven. They're very high energy. They're very healthy. And they're willing to work 70 or 80 hours a week, nonstop, specialized at one thing to get to the top.
So you're saying women are just more sensible. They don't want that because it's not a nice life.
I'm saying that's part of it, definitely. And so I work
So you don't think there are barriers in their way that prevent them getting to the top of those companies?
Oh, there are some barriers, yeah. Like men, for example. I mean, to get to the top of any organization is an incredibly competitive enterprise. And the men that you're competing with are simply not going to roll over and say, please take the position.
So let me come back to my question.
It's absolute all-out warfare.
Is gender equality a myth?
I don't know what you mean by the question. Men and women aren't the same, and they won't be the same. That doesn't mean they can't be treated fairly.
Is gender equality desirable?
If it means equality of outcome, then almost certainly it's undesirable. That's already been demonstrated in Scandinavia. Because in Scandinavia...
What do you mean by that? Equality of outcome is undesirable?
Well, men and women won't sort themselves into the same categories if you leave them alone to do it of their own accord. I've already seen that in Scandinavia. It's 20 to 1 female nurses to male, something like that. It might not be quite that extreme. And approximately the same male engineers to female engineers. And that's a consequence of the free choice of men and women in the societies that have gone farther than any other societies to make gender equality the purpose of the law. Those are ineradicable differences. You can eradicate them with tremendous social pressure and tyranny, but if you leave men and women to make their own choices, you will not get equal outcomes.
Right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, whether you call them feminists, call them whatever you want to call them, should basically give up because it ain't going to happen.
Only if they're aiming at equality of outcome.
So you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
It's not only fine, it's eminently desirable for everyone, for individuals and for society.
But still women aren't going to make it. That's what you're really saying.
It depends on your measurement techniques. They're doing just fine in medicine. In fact, there are far more female physicians than there are male.
I actually love the way she just keeps on framing questions so differently. Okay. You can tell she's an extremely intelligent person. The way, like, because she can turn a question, immediately add a little flair to it, completely change the flavor of your answer, of Jordan Peterson's answer, and throw it back at him. Yo, so this is what you meant. No, I just said something completely opposite of what you just said. So, okay, so this is what you meant. No, are you actually stupid? That's not what he's saying, but he's staying so calm. Let's continue.
Physician. There are lots of disciplines that are absolutely dominated by women. Many, many disciplines. And they're doing great. So
let me put something else to you from the book. You say the introduction of the equal pay for equal work argument immediately complicates even salary comparison beyond practicality for one simple reason. Who decides what work is equal? It's not possible. So the simple question is, do you believe in equal pay?
Well, I made the argument there. It's like it depends on who defines it.
So you don't believe in equal pay?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Because a lot of people listening to you will just say...
Oh my gosh, she is so crazy, bro. I can't. Like, just listening to it. Do not punch her, right? Do not punch her. Looking at yourself from the third person, the rational you, channel the internal Athena. Deep breath. Observe your emotions. Why you're feeling angry. Why you want to punch this lady. She's a nice lady. She's just doing her job. You know, like it's literally what you're doing. If you are being interviewed by this lady, you have to be doing that because you just can't stop thinking about punching her. Like she asked an obvious question that a 2-year-old understood what Jordan Peterson said, and she turned around and said, "Oh, so you're saying this?" No, I didn't say that. So no, but you said it. No, I didn't say it. And then she just said it again. You just like, mother. You know, you want to throw stuff at her, but you can't because it's only a glass of water. You don't want to go to jail. Like this is just. Let's continue.
I mean, are we going back to the dark
That's because
ages
they're actually
here?
not listening. They're
I'm
just
listening very
projecting
carefully,
what
and
they
I'm
think.
hearing you basically saying women need to just accept they're never going to make it on equal terms, equal outcomes is how you defined it.
No, I didn't
If
say
I was
that.
a young
I said
woman
that equal-
watching that, I would go, well, I might as well just go and play with my Cindy dolls and
didn't
give up
say
trying
that.
at school because I'm not going to get the top job I want because
said
there's
that
someone
e-
sitting there saying it's not possible
I
and it's
said
not
that
desirable, it's
equal
going to make
outcomes
you
aren't
miserable.
desirable. That's what I said. It's a
Yeah,
bad
it's not
social
desirable.
goal. I didn't say that women shouldn't be striving for the top or anything like that, because I don't believe that for a second.
Striving for the top, but you're going to put all those hurdles in their way, as has been in their way for centuries, and that's fine. You're saying that's fine.
No, I really think
patriarchal
that's, I
system
really
is
think
just
that's
fine.
silly. I do. I think that's silly. I really do. I mean, look at your situation. You're hardly unsuccessful.
Yeah, and I have
How do you
battled quite
manage
hard
it?
to get where I've got
Exactly.
to.
Good
So
for
that's
you.
okay. Battling is good. This is all
It's
about the fight.
inevitable.
But you talk about men
Why
fighting. I mean,
wouldn't
let me
you
just
have-
put another thing to you from the book.
Why
You're
wouldn't
saying
you have to
real.
battle for a high-quality position?
Well, I notice in your book you talk about real conversations between men containing, quote, an underlying threat of physicality.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
What about real conversations between women? Is that something, or are we sort of too amenable and reasonable?
No, it's just that the domain of physical conflict is sort of off limits for you.
Well, you
it's
just said
rather
that I've
unfortunate.
fought to get where I've got.
Yeah, but
What does that make me?
Well,
a
I
sort of
don't
proxy
imagine.
man or
I
something?
don't imagine that you've. Yeah, to some degree, I suspect you're not very agreeable.
So that's
Oh, she's so crazy. You're talking about physical. Dude, I can't. It's like every 1 minute of conversation, she can literally make you want to punch her 20 times. I remember like listening to a Bill Barr joke. And people were saying there's no reason to hit a woman. She's a typical example why there's 1,000 reasons to hit a woman. Just don't do it. In Bill Barr's language, you don't do it. But to say there's no reason to hit a woman, it's crazy. Oh my God. She's so crazy. This is literally, wow. Wow. Channel internal Athena. Let's continue.
the thing. Successful women, I'm not very agreeable.
Right.
But
I've noticed that
successful-
actually in this conversation.
At least
and
we
I'm
can have
sure
a
it
joke about it.
served your career well.
Successful women, though, basically have to wear the trousers, in your view. They have to sort of become men to succeed, is what you're saying.
Well, if they're going
I've had to fight to succeed,
if they're
therefore
going to
I'm an
compete
honorary
against
man.
men, certainly masculine traits are going to be helpful. I mean, one of the things I do in my counseling practice, for example, when I'm consulting with women who are trying to advance their careers, is to teach them how to negotiate and to be able to say no and to not be easily pushed around and to be formidable. And you need to, if you're going to be successful, you need to be smart, conscientious, and tough.
Well, here's a radical idea. Why don't the bosses adopt the male bosses, shall we say, adopt some female traits so that women don't have to fight and get their sharp elbows out for the pay rises? It's just accepted if they're doing the same job, they get the same pay.
Well, I would say partly because it's not so easy to determine what constitutes the same job.
But that's because, arguably,
Yeah.
there are still men dominating our industries, our society, and therefore they've dictated the terms for so long that women have to battle to be like the men.
No, it's not true. It's not true.
Before Jordan Peterson gave his take, I still want to say, like, this is such an insincere question, right? Again, because the markets, I think 70% or 80% of consumers are female. End of the day, you're selling to a largely female-dominated market. And men, or companies, rather, instead of men, is result-driven. It's not about, like, men or, what do you mean constitute the same job? It's the easy way to look at the same job is, can you achieve the same results, which is a positive growth rate for the company, right? Can they sell more products under your leadership? If I put you in this position, are you going to give me more business? Are you going to do jobs more efficiently? Are you going to save me money? End of the day, because that's how business work. It's common business sense. It's not as simple as a Play-Doh. Oh, if I, make the little tiny house, are you saying I'm going to make the same? It's not as simple as that. It's as simple as result-driven. And when it comes to result-driven society, what will happen is, what Jordan Peterson is saying is, a lot of male traits because there are a lot of male traits that's required because it's common. It's not regarding male or female. It's because those traits are frequently seen in males. That's why he's calling it male traits. So when the lady was saying, oh, if it's, are you saying, why can't we just change men to be more feminine? That's not how it works, because those traits are determined by the market. It's determined by sales. If you're telling me that the traits, the quote unquote feminine traits can get more sales, then every company would do it. You don't even have to call for it. It would just naturally happen because that's how the market works. But if you look at the entire society, all the very successful men and women, they're all very similar in terms of how they talk, how they carry themselves, how they communicate, because it's common traits for successful leader. It's actually not common traits for men. It just right now, there are a lot more men with those traits, right? So what Jordan Peterson is saying, he teach, guide, help female leaders to acquire those traits, negotiate, and understand what traits can help them progress in their career, because those are successful traits. And he listened to Napoleon Hill talking about, how to be successful. He talked about the same successful traits as well. Like, it's all about the traits that matter. It's just frequently seen in men. And this girl just keep on twisting it, saying like, oh, why can't we make the society more feminine? Because we don't decide the rules. You girls actually decided the rules. You buy certain products the way you buy them, and the market decided to buy that. That's usually how it works.
So, for
Where's the
example,
evidence?
well, I can give you an example very quickly. So I worked with women who worked in high-powered law firms in Canada for about 15 years, and they were as competent and put together as anybody you would ever meet. And we were trying to figure out how to further their careers. And there was a huge debate in Canadian society at that point that was basically ran along the same lines as your argument, is that if the law firms didn't use these masculine criteria, then perhaps women would do better. But the market sets the damn game. It's like...
And the market is dominated by men.
No,
So
it's
what
not.
I'm asking
It's not.
you-
The market is dominated by women. They make 80% of the consumer decisions.
Oh, there we go. Bro, we have the same stats, Look like I should do my research. Yeah, we have the same stats. Bro, this girl is so crazy, so insincere. It's intolerable. Guys, just calm down. Watch this interview.
That's not the case
What?
at all.
If you're talking
80%.
about people who stay at home looking after children, by and large, they are still women. So they're going out doing the shopping. But that is changing.
They make all
Anyway,
the
what I want
consumer
to ask
decisions.
You, okay, so
the
what I want to
market
ask
is
you-
driven by
okay,
women, not men.
Right.
Okay, and if you're a lawyer
And they
in
still
Canada...
pay more for the same sort of goods. That's been proven, that men, you buy a blue bicycle helmet, it's going to cost less than a pink one. Anyway, we'll come on to that.
Partly because men are less agreeable. Right, so they won't put up with it.
I want to ask you, is it not desirable to have some of those female traits you're talking about? I'd say that's a generalization, but you've used the words female traits. Is it not desirable to have some of them at the top of business? I mean, maybe there wouldn't have
They
been
don't predict
a
success.
banking crisis.
They
if
don't
that
predict
happened.
success in the workplace. The things that predict success in the workplace are intelligence and conscientiousness. Agreeableness negatively predicts success in the workplace. And so
you're
does
saying
high
that-
negative emotion.
You're saying that women aren't intelligent enough to run these top companies?
No, I didn't say that at all.
You said that female traits don't predict success.
You know what helps with market intelligence, conscientiousness. So you're saying females are not intelligent? How? You listen to, sun rises from the east and sets to the west. So you're saying females cannot succeed in the marketplace. Where's my punch? You just want to throw stuff at her. You just really want to throw stuff at her, bro. Like literally, I don't understand how she's able to do this. She's obviously, her head is turning really quick and she's spilling all kinds of shit, right? Like just saying all kinds of stuff. But you're listening to a person's answer and you immediately come to something completely opposite of what they just said. How did you do that? This is why you can't convince people ever, right? You just can't. That's why you read the book by Robert Greene, The Loss of Human Nature. You never can convince people. People are what they are. They're exactly the way they're built since the day they're born. The only day when people want to change is when they want to change. If they don't want to change, you can never change them. Do not try to shape the people into the way you want to shape them, but accept them as fact, right? That's literally the first chapter of the law of human nature. Accept them like they're comets, planets. They're just phenomenons. They are who they are. You can never change them. That's exactly what this girl has demonstrated. If she want to change, people only change when their life is in jeopardy, when they need to change. That's literally what it is. Very rarely do people want to actively change and get better. Very rarely.
Success.
But I didn't say that intelligence wasn't. I didn't say that
do.
intelligence and conscientiousness
Well, you were saying that
weren't
intelligence
female
and
traits.
conscientiousness by implication are not female traits.
No.
I mean,
I'm not
that's very
saying that.
dangerous territory.
I'm not saying that at all.
Are women less intelligent than men, by and large?
No, they're not. No, the data on that's pretty clear. The average IQ for a woman and the average IQ for a man is identical. There is some debate about the flatness of the distribution, which is something that James Damore pointed out, for example, in his memo, but there's no difference at all in general cognitive ability. There's no difference to speak of in conscientiousness. Women are a bit more orderly than men, and men are a little bit more industrious than women. But the difference isn't big. But that averages into conscientiousness.
Plenty of men who aren't necessarily as
Well,
industrious.
of course.
But we'll female
but you
traits,
asked me
though,
a question.
why are they not...
Feminine traits,
Why
let's
are they
say.
not desirable at the top of... Feminine traits, why are they not desirable at the top of business?
It's hard to say. I'm just laying out the empirical evidence. Like we know the traits that predict success.
But we also know, because companies by and large have not been dominated by women over the centuries, we have nothing to compare it to.
You can tell that Jordan Peterson is replying to all those cringy questions with empirical evidence. He's saying that it's not what I said. It's not what I guessed why certain traits predict success. It's just over thousands of years of summary, analysis, empirical data. We find out these traits precedes success, right? That's literally what he's saying. I'm just an observer, because a scientist, that's what they do. They look at data, analyze the data, come to a conclusion, and write an equation based on the data analysis. That's literally what they do. They're observer of nature, of something that happens. They don't create random stuff. You know, they're not inventors. They're observers of data, of science, of stuff that happens. And she just constantly asks, she just constantly guess. Like, it feels like this is one on the left side of your screen is logic. And on the right side of your screen is pure emotion. It's chaos. It's literally it's like a big Tai Chi circle, right? It's chaos and order. That's literally what it is. It's two battling each other in this very interesting interview. Thanks to Jordan Peterson.
It's an experiment.
True, and it could be the case that if companies modified their behavior and became more feminine, that they would be successful. But
You
there's
seem
no
doubtful about
evidence
that.
for it. I'm not neither doubtful nor non-doubtful. There's no evidence for it.
So why not give it a go, as the radical
Because the evidence
feminists would
suggests,
say?
well, it's fine. If someone wants to start a company and make it more feminine and compassionate, let's say, and caring in its overall orientation towards its workers and towards the marketplace, then that's a perfectly reasonable experiment to run. My point is that there is no evidence that those traits predict success in the workplace. And there's
Because it's
this
never
evidence
been
is-
tried.
Well, that's not really the case. Women have been.
Why don't you try it? I don't understand. She's saying this like, dude, if women, there are a lot of rich women out there. Just try it. Go try it. There are a lot of women-run businesses in Austin. I think some of them are doing pretty well. Like, literally, if you want to try anything, there's no one stopping you. Just make sure you use your own money, right? Don't use your husband's money. Go try it. I don't get this point. She's constantly battling Jordan Peterson for. He's an observer. He's a scientist. He's telling what works, what doesn't, based on data, right? It's not his job to go to do something that you want to try. Like, he's asked, why don't you try? No, it's your job to try it. You're the one who brought it up. You're the one who say, okay, you saw black is black, white is white. You constantly say, why can't black be white? Why can white be black? If that's your standpoint, you gotta prove it, right? You gotta prove why white is black. It's not our job. We simply observe white is white, black is black, and we go our lives based on a simple observation.
In the workplace for at least ever since I've been around, the representation of women in the workplace has been about 50%. So we've run the experiment for a fairly reasonable period of time, but not, certainly not for centuries.
Let me move on to another debate that's been very controversial for you. And this is, you got in trouble for refusing to call trans men and women by their preferred personal pronouns.
No,
I want to
that's
ask,
not actually true. I got in trouble because I said I would not follow the compelled speech dictates of the federal and provincial government. I actually never got in trouble for not calling anyone anything.
Right.
That didn't happen.
you wouldn't follow the change of law, which was designed
Not
to
once it was
outlaw
law.
discrimination.
No.
Why
Well,
should
that's
your...
what they said it was designed to do.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I have exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on.
So
and that is what you should do. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
Such a growth, man. Jordan Peterson have done this. I think this is probably the second major time I remember him using this lady's own words and action against her, right? She was talking about gender pay gap and then, you know, how females are not able to succeed being suppressed in the job place, in the workplace. And Jordan Peterson was referring to her. Look at you. You're, you know, very successful woman. You basically are a living example of that's not being true. But if you want to progress in your career, blah, 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 look at yourself, how you progress because you're very disagreeable. That's number one. Now she's talking about like why your right of freedom of speech should trump other people's right of blah, blah, blah. And instead of answering that cringe question, he just come to use this interview itself as an example to prove, look yourself in the mirror. What a freaking goat, bro. This guy that's why he changes lives, because like he helps people think. Even the most adversarial interview, like the lady comes in guns blazing, he's able to talk to you with reason that make the person think. And that's such a strength. That's such a powerful skill. And that's why he's a GOAT. That's why he's recognized as brightest mind of our century, of our era. This is the highlight. This is so good. Oh my goodness.
So you haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Gotcha.
you have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah. It took a while.
It did, yeah.
It took a while. You have voluntarily come into the studio and agreed to be questioned. Mm-hmm. A trans person in your class has come to your class and said they want to be called
That's never happened. And I would call them she.
So you would. So you've kind of changed your tune on that.
No.
Bro, like immediately after she got on, she reorganized her thoughts and went back to being cringe. How is that possible? Jordan Peterson literally just said, 30 seconds ago, before you got owned, literally just mentioned I never got in trouble of calling people anything wrong. You know, I'm actually a polite person. If you want me to call you a unicorn, I'll call you a unicorn. He only got in trouble because he disagreed with how Canada was trying to change the law and force, you know, him to call people something. That's what he disagreed with, which is changing the law to actually have somebody's, randomly changing whatever they want to call as the universal way of calling stuff. Basically, that's actually her point of why is that person's freedom of speech trumping his freedom of speech, right? It's like everybody's supposed to be equal right, but the law in Canada was making it where certain things have to be called a certain way. Why is that? That's what he was, why Jordan Peterson was controversial in Canada at the time. So, and he made it really clear. And this lady is going back to cringe. So you call this person undesirable name. Like, what? He literally just said, and that never happened. Okay.
Well, I said that right from the beginning. What I said at the beginning was that I was not going to cede the linguistic territory to radical leftists, regardless of whether or not it was put in law. That's what I said. And then the people who came after me said, oh, you must be transphobic and you mistreat a student in your class. It's like, I never mistreated a student in my class. I'm not transphobic, and that isn't what I said.
Well, except you've also called trans campaigners authoritarian, haven't you? I mean, isn't that grossly...
Well, only in the broader context of my claims that radical leftist ideologues are authoritarian, which they are.
You're saying someone who's trying to work out their gender identity, who may well have struggled with that, had quite a tough time over the years.
With it, yeah.
You're comparing them with, Chairman Mao, who saw the deaths of millions of people. Well, even if the activists, they're trans people too. They have a right to say these things.
Yeah, but they don't have a right to speak for their whole community.
To compare them to Chairman Mao or, Augusto Pinochet. I mean, this is grossly insensitive.
I didn't compare them to Pinochet.
Well,
I did compare them to
He was an authoritarian.
He was a right-winger, though. I was comparing them to the left-wing totalitarians. Okay. And I do believe they are left-wing totalitarians.
Under Mao, millions of people died.
Right.
I mean, there's no comparison between Mao and a trans activist, is there?
Why not?
Because trans activists aren't killing millions of people?
The philosophy that's guiding their utterances is the same philosophy.
The consequences are...
Not yet.
Yeah, just because people don't have the same power... Chairman Mao, right? He's obviously talking about the fundamental thinking philosophy that's behind the person. But most of the people obviously are not going to be, Mao, Trump, or, whoever is the president of the world, right? Putin or whatever. Because not only a few have that power. But just because only a few people have the power doesn't mean like a lot of people can think similar. Like, why is this so difficult for her to understand?
You're saying that trans activists could lead to the deaths of millions of people?
No, I'm saying that the philosophy that drives their utterances is the same philosophy that already has driven us to the deaths of millions of people.
Okay, tell us how that philosophy is in any way comparable.
Sure, that's no problem. The first thing is that the philosophy presumes that group identity is paramount. That's the fundamental philosophy that drove the Soviet Union and Maoist China. And it's the fundamental philosophy of the left-wing activists. It's identity politics. It doesn't matter who you are as an individual. It matters who you are in terms of your group identity.
You're just saying these things, though, to provoke, aren't you? I mean, you are a provocateur.
I never said
You're like
anything.
the alt-right that you hate to be compared to. You want to stir things up.
I'm only a provocateur insofar as when I say what I believe to be true, it's provocative.
I think so far he has only said common sense. The thing about Jordan Peterson is he says stuff so relatable. The feelings that a lot of young men, including me, are feeling right in our day-to-day lives. It's stuff that you can easily digest and understand because it's realistic. Like when you listen to politicians, the demagogues, they say stuff that's like in the cloud. Like democracy is on the line, whatever's on the line. People are gonna die from all over the world if we don't fund this and that program. Bro, I'm starving here. I can't, kids can't have, not kids, young folks can't have kids, can afford houses, can afford basic living standard here. How about you solve the issue here? And Jordan Peterson just talked to men who are living in the present. How do you get out the slump that you're in psychologically, mentally, and physically? That's why people like him, because he talks to people like you are a person. He didn't talk to you like you are a tool. And this female is literally the opposite of what I just said. That's why you're always going to be the cringe Karen, and then Jordan Peterson's forever going to be the GOAT.
Provoke, maybe for humor.
You don't set out to
now
provoke.
And then. I'm not interested in provoking.
But what
Not
about the thing about, fighting and the lobster? Tell us about the lobster.
Well, that's quite a segue. Well, the first chapter I have in my book is called Stand Up Straight with Your Shoulders Back. And it's an injunction to be combative, not least to further your career, let's say, but also to adopt a stance of ready engagement with the world and to reflect that in your posture. And the reason that I write about lobsters is because there's this idea that hierarchical structures are a sociological construct of the Western patriarchy. And that is so untrue that it's almost unbelievable. And I use the lobster as an example because the lobster, we divulged from lobsters in evolutionary history about 350 million years ago, common ancestor. And lobsters exist in hierarchies, and they have a nervous system attuned to the hierarchy. And that nervous system runs on serotonin, just like our nervous systems do. And the nervous system of the lobster and of the human being is so similar that antidepressants work on lobsters. And it's part of my attempt to demonstrate that the idea of hierarchy has absolutely nothing to do with sociocultural construction, which it doesn't.
Let me just get this straight. You're saying that we should organise our societies along the lines of the lobsters?
I'm saying that it's inevitable that there will be continuity in the way that animals and human beings organize their structures. It's absolutely inevitable. And there is 1/3 of a billion years of evolutionary history behind that. Right? That's so long that 1/3 of a billion years ago, there weren't even trees. It's a long time. You have a mechanism in your brain that runs on serotonin that's similar to the lobster mechanism that tracks your status. And the higher your status, the better your emotions are regulated. So as your serotonin levels increase, you feel more positive emotion and less negative emotion.
So you're saying, like the lobsters, we're hardwired as men and women to do certain things, to sort of run along tram lines, and there's nothing we can do about it?
No, I'm not saying there's nothing we can do about it, because it's like in a chess game, right? There's lots of things that you can do, although you can't break the rules of the chess game and continue to play chess. And your biological nature is somewhat like that, is it sets the rules of the game, but within those rules you have a lot of leeway. But the idea but one thing we can't do is say that hierarchical organization is a consequence of the capitalist patriarchy. It's like, that's patently absurd. It's wrong. It's not a matter of opinion. It's seriously wrong.
Aren't you just whipping people up into a state of anger?
this is so good. Every time you listen to Jordan Peterson, I think the way he pointed out, it's just societal facts, right? The stuff that a lot of people are struggling, being almost oppressed in the society because they also observe the similar phenomenon or situation, but they're afraid to say it out loud. And Jordan Peterson just doesn't give a fuck. He just say it because for him, it's clinical science. He has empirical data, stands behind it. He's using a lobster as an example because it exists 250 million years ago, and they use a similar nervous system with the serotonin, to foresee structure, their social status in life. And in the book, also talk about the first chapter, stand up straight with the shoulders back, how that helps with serotonin, how it lets serotonin flow through your body, flow through your mind, and then help you assert your location in the societal hierarchy and slowly but surely expand it, as he was saying regarding the chessboard, right? You understand the rules of the chess game doesn't mean there's not leeway for you to play the game better. You first have to understand the rule of the chess game. It's such a now listening to him explaining the book is so goated, right? So goated.
And
Not at all.
Divisions between men and women, you're stirring people up. You have any critics of you online get absolutely lambasted by your followers. You've
And
got to
by
call
me,
them off, haven't
generally.
you? Sorry, your critics get lambasted by you. I mean,
If
isn't
they're
that
academics,
irresponsible?
not at all. If an academic is going to come
Okay.
after me and tell me that I'm not qualified and that I don't know what I'm talking about,
So
like,
you're
it's
not going to say
seriously
to your
not the
followers
same.
now, quit the abuse, quit the anger.
Well, we'd need some substantial examples of the abuse and the anger before I could detail that question.
There's a lot of it out there.
Let's take a more general perspective on that. So I've had 25,000 letters since June, something like that, from people who told me that I've brought them back from the brink of destruction. And so I'm perfectly willing to put that up against the rather vague accusations that my followers are making the lives of people that I've targeted miserable.
Jordan Peterson, thank you.
My pleasure. Nice talking with you.
Everything that he says is data, guys. That's why he's a GOAT, because it's all backed by science. This is the first time that you listen to someone who explains psychology with science. That's why he's a clinical psychiatrist. I was saying it wrong, say psychologist, or whatever, but a clinical psychiatrist. That's Jordan Peterson's title. What a great interview by Jordan Peterson, because it's against all odds. Throughout this entire interview, you were just like, go to a good place, go to a happy place internally. And Jordan Peterson just handled it with flying colors. Guys, this book, I'm going to do small chapters, actionable items in our Foreign Famous Academy channel. Make sure to follow it with a link in description. I highly recommend it. This is why everybody should know about this person. Study Jordan Peterson, study his literature. It's fantastic. It will help you as a young person, no matter you're a guy or a boy, a guy or a girl. I think would just be tremendous help, right? His literature is fantastic. And then, that lady, good job for giving Jordan Peterson a platform to shine. That's why people know him, right? I think that's one of the viral interviews. This is probably my second time, this is my second time watching it, but the first time was a few years ago because this interview is old. I don't remember the details of it now. And I came across it. I was revisiting this book. I figured this is a great, great time to share this interview again. So for those who are wondering, the life is going to be difficult. We just have to do our best, understanding the rules of the life. 12 rules for life. So, Dave signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next time.